Hello people, so it is the end of 2020, what a year it has been for us all. And myself and Alan thought the best way to round off this year was to select a few of the favourite guests that have been on Yourevolution this year and really pick their brains about some health and well-being tips for all of us to benefit from and share with you guys in two special episodes we're going to run today and one more tomorrow. I'll pass you on to Alan to explain a bit more.
So on tonight's episode we have two guys who have made a huge impact on Yourevolution since we kicked it off. We've got John Nicolson and we've got Gerald Neil. Both guys very inspirational, lots of wisdom to share, and in tonight's episode they go deep on mindset tips, really sharing the wisdom and knowledge that they've built up in their respective fields of martial arts and transformational life coaching. It's going to be a cracker, hope you enjoy it.
And the part that Alan was supposed to add in at the end there, hit the subscribe button. Martial arts expert John Nicolson was our very first Yourevolution guest, and he is one of the most accomplished sports figures and coaches that we've ever met. And with an incredible level of discipline and a rock solid mindset, John's a guy that we can all learn plenty from.
Okay, you need to find something that makes you feel alive. Like I said earlier, it's like you find something that it can be football, it could be golf, it could be jiu-jitsu, it could be Thai boxing, if it could be running, it could be anything. Whatever makes you feel happy or whatever makes you feel alive, I think you should pursue it further.
And Gerald Neil, he's a transformational coach from Glasgow that we had on back in November. And Gerald's own amazing transformation from an abandoned child to a highly respected coach makes him the typical working class hero. What really made people warm to Gerald was that he was so relatable to the average person, speaking slang, throwing in some banter, and while at the same time sharing some golden wisdom, inspiring us all to better ourselves.
Life can change, and the coping strategies when the nervous system feels safer, the cocaine use disappears, the alcohol consumption disappears, the having to have sex with random other people to build yourself up, losing lust for love starts coming all the way right down, and you move away from the outer world and you come into the inner world, and when you come within, you will never go without.
Okay, let's dive right into those three questions that we've got for John and Gerald.
A lesson that I personally learned from 2020 with the lockdown and the coronavirus restrictions, etc. that get put in place, were that I learned that over the years I've trained for probably over 40 years in sport, and I learned that my body and my mind, my body is used to daily energy expenditure, and I quickly realised that if I don't get that energy expenditure, that it has a negative effect on my personality, which then can make myself difficult to live with, especially for the other people in our household within during the lockdown. If it kind of distorts my personality if I don't get that energy expenditure, and it's not a nice thing, it's not a positive thing, but it's something that I definitely realised this year.
What's the biggest lesson 2020 taught me? Well, it's been an unprecedented year, there's no doubt about that. I think really, and I don't know whether this is because I've really got into cold exposure and nature, so they go doing all these my nose, and I really like walking about nature, cycling. So I wonder whether the biggest lesson is that I was very materialistic. I was very, very materialistic. So the clothes that I would buy would be designer type clothes. And it's maybe I'm talking about this because it's been something that I've been talking about for a long period of time. But definitely, the coping strategies that I used has definitely slipped away. In relationships, things that are no materialistic but are like real essential parts, like relationships with human beings, spending time with my family, getting more involved in things that don't cost huge amounts of money, like just going out on the bikes, going out hall walking. So stuff like that. So the most important lesson that I've learned is that I spent a lot of time focusing things that really didn't matter. We're probably just coping strategies like the gym. So the gym's not opened anymore, so I can't go to the gym. So does that mean I have a complete meltdown, or else is there other things that I can do? And of course there are other things that I have done, which meant that I've been exercising much more in nature. Me and Joanna go on hill walk, me and Joanna go on cycling, me and the boys go on cycling. And I've been getting much more enjoyment out of the processes than the other things that I used to do. So top 3 daily practice, definitely it's got to be meditation. So meditation, fundamental for many, many years. Different forms of meditation. So the form of meditation I use is transcendental meditation. I've had experiences with, I started with a process pranayama breathing 25 years ago, and then Zazen, which I've done for about 10 years, which is a Zen form of meditation, and then various mindfulness techniques, but certainly the main practice right now, transcendental meditation, 2 times a day, a daytime technique, and then there's a nighttime technique as well. So fundamental to my health, definitely meditation.
My top 3 daily practices would be do something each and every day that puts you in a positive state of mind. That could be a challenging workout, it could be a walk up the hills, it could be exposing yourself to cold water, which a lot of people are doing these days. It could be anything. Just do something that gets you out your comfort zone and puts you in a positive state of mind. Take some time out your day to either meditate, reconnect with your breath. For me, I find it works for me when I do it when I go to my bed at night. I take 5 minutes, 10 minutes before I go to sleep to just purely focus on my breath, breathing in, diaphragmatic breathing, breathe as deeply as I can, and exhale and concentrate purely on my breath. When I see thoughts coming in through my head, I observe the thoughts, I don't dwell on them, I don't try and act on them. I try and clear my mind as much as possible, so I'm focusing only on how I breathe. Basically just try and reconnect your mind to your spirit again.
Another one has got to be cold exposure, so something again engage in every single day. Very few days I think that I've no used cold exposure. Again, really influenced by the Wim Hof type, coming for that adrenaline fueled gym type activity, like really engaging activity, but much more now for a daily practice. Great going out with groups of people, fantastic, phenomenal, but it's a tool that I use really beneficially for my health, really good for my health, my sense of real well-being as well. So definitely cold exposure, that's 2 things.
Third daily tip or daily routine that I would use is I like to have structure to my day, so either the day before or early that morning I like to know what I want from the day. Like if I've planned myself a challenging workout, I need to know how long it takes, I need to know what I expect from myself from that workout. Also it could be other things you could plan as part of your day, like you have to visit a family member, I have to help them out, I have to do something for them. It could be as simple as phoning them and reaching out to them. But at the end of the day, it's also nice to take time to reevaluate and say the plan and the structure that you put in place. Did you achieve everything that you wanted to achieve in that day? Maybe score yourself out of 10 and say, yeah, I got 8 out of 10. Hopefully tomorrow will be 8.5 or a 9, and keep on improving, so that the structure that you put in place every day, you've much more chance of keeping to a good plan if you have the plan in place prior to the day commencing, and then reevaluate on how that structure or how that plan has went throughout the day.
So I reckon the third thing that I do for my overall sense of health and well-being is definitely learning. Learning's really, really important. The brain's a muscle. When you exercise the muscle, it gets stronger. Pretty much like the gym. So if I go to the gym and I train at the gym, I get stronger, I get fitter, more flexible, more energy, stuff like that. The brain's exactly the same way. So if my brain's no learning anything, then it's basically just a record of the past. My brain records all my experiences from the past. I perceive my life, my reality that day based on what I've learned in the past. So if I'm learning new stuff, it's definitely the building blocks. I've always found that when I'm learning, I'm thinking better, my brain's operating better. So There's loads of things I could have said, but on my own daily practice, stuff that I really do drill in on every single day. Meditation, my own form's transcendentals, a mantra type that any form would do. Cold exposure, there's multiple ways of doing that. I've got a tub out in the garden. And learning, there's multiple ways I do that. I listen to audio books, I watch YouTube stuff, I do formal learning. So these are definitely the 3 things that I do to enhance my health and well-being.
If I could give anybody any advice on the stuff that I've learned about myself and the process of goal setting, etc., would be exactly that. If you don't have any goals for 2021, think about something you'd like to achieve that you can't, something that you currently can't do, something that is challenging but it has to be obtainable. It could be anything. It could be get off the couch to be able to do a 5k, for an example. Set yourself a goal that's going to challenge you. Set yourself a time frame that it needs to be done within, again, which it needs to be realistic. Then create a series of good habits and a system with some structure that will allow you to achieve your goals, and then trust in the process and know that once you have everything in place, that the only thing that's going to stop you from getting there, or the only thing that's going to assist you to get there, is going to be how much self-discipline that you can put in there and make yourself do the things that need done, especially even when you don't want to do them. And then you quickly realise that to achieve any of these goals, however big, however small, it really is a question of self-discipline, and it's down to like whether you yourself can hold yourself accountable and maintain the self-discipline, especially when you don't want to do something. So without having the goals in place, you don't have a pathway to be heading on. You don't know the end to your journey. Other than that, you're just aimlessly going through each day by day. So it's nice to have goals in place so that you have a direction to be heading in.
I would suggest, and I probably coming from my coach, put my coach's hat on here, and also the stuff I've learned about how the brain works, about neuroscience, about memory, about imagination, without getting into a big lecture. But really, the most tip would be to work on yourself. And when I say work on yourself, I don't mean just one part of yourself. So if I was to look at it, and I know if you can go and do some formal training, some research, they'll say there's actually 7 parts to yourself, but I tend to focus on 4 parts. So when I'm working on myself, or when I'm working with an individual, I'll say let's look at 4 parts. And 4 parts I would say is clearly mental health, really important, really important. There's ways we can access that through the body, the mind and the body are connected. Physical health, so a lot of people go to the gym, really work out, really brilliant for your health, but they look just phenomenal. It sometimes stops the deterioration of mental health, but it's not always, physical health doesn't always equal mental health. So it's like focus on mental health, physical health, emotional health, really important. And I can see like the Western Bartonshire stuff, Yourevolution, and but that's exactly what they're doing. Getting emotionally connected, men and women having the ability to talk about how they feel, getting massive amounts of support, really important. That's really good for emotional health. And the key, well not the key, they're all really important, but one thing that's really neglected is spiritual health. Now when I say spiritual health, people's perception, particularly the groups of people go about where you think maybe you're talking about religion, maybe getting a big robe on and Jesus sandals going out and preaching. I don't mean that. It's not about shouting hallelujah in the street, although it can be for some people. It's just that sense of well-being, that sense of waking up in the morning, feeling motivated and inspired to step into your day and do the best that you can possibly do. And looking at each of them individually is great, but when you just spend very basic incorporating things into your life that can help you, and one way that I look to do the 4 bits is definitely my own meditation practice, my own cold exposure practice, learning, and then the key is engaging in groups of people, which I do a couple of times a week to get emotional regulation, but also spending some time with your people that you care about, people that you can develop and bond relationships, children, partners, family members, friends. So that would be my tip. Look at ways that you can impact and positively influence mental, physical, emotional and spiritual health, because if you can do that, when life happens, and life happens to me, to everybody, I will be much more resilient, or my coping strategies will be less severe for a shorter period of time, and I keep working on myself. And the idea is I develop and I grow and I move forward to sort of the best version of myself. So that would be my tips.